We have some really interesting polling that's been coming out. Let's go and put this up there on the screen. This, I think, more than anything, really explains Trump's staying power and why I think he has such a major political advantage. So this is, and let's keep this up here, please, how respondents' views of Trump have changed from 2020 to now. In terms of his approval of handling the economy, from 2020 to now, he's seen a 10-point bump from 50% or so past 60. 2/3 of the country are now approved of his handling the economy when he was president. Think he left the country better off, +9. Approve of his handling of maintaining law and order, +8. Approve of his handling of unifying America, +4. Approve of his handling of COVID, +3. Approve of his handling of the Supreme Court, +1. Note that one because we're going to come back to that. But this is where I think is really important. From 2016 to now, think electing him is a safe choice, +11, but there has been a -4 in think he respects women, which is kind of funny. But let's go to the next one.
The 4% that thought he did are now giving up on that.
Let's go to the next one, guys, because this is even more important. Do you generally remember the years that this candidate was president as mostly good or mostly bad? For Joe Biden, 25% say mostly good. Not really good or bad, 27%. Mostly bad, 46%. Don't know, 1%. Trump, 42% mostly good, 23% not really good or bad. Only 33% say mostly bad for America. To me, that is the single most important one that we could take away. And the reason why is because, and I've said this so many times, the nostalgia for pre-COVID America is so strong. And why shouldn't it be? Gas was cheap, inflation was not there, interest rates were low, all the madness had not yet happened. Things were mostly fine. 2019 of January is the highest level of Republican identification that we ever had in this country in modern history. I did a whole monologue about it at the time because I remember being stunned. But what can we take away from that? People want the good times back. Throughout all pandemics in history, there's always a mass amnesia afterwards. People are like, wow, that was terrible. Let's go back. And guess who was president? Trump. That's a huge benefit that he has.
And what's incredible is that people living at the time had a chance to kind of express how they felt Trump fit into that utopia that we have now kind of retconned. And that was the 2018 midterms. And it was an absolute bloodbath for Trump. So while you did have the highest Republican identification January 2019, you also at the polls had Republicans tossed out of power and voters turned things over to Democrats because his presidency was just this ongoing train wreck of a spectacle that really galvanized Democrats in a way that gave them the ability to kind of swamp Republican turnout in those midterms. But now, as people look back, that 11-point shift from a safe choice is profound, because that 11 points right there, those people who thought that he was just an unsafe person, like a lunatic in the Oval Office, you cannot trust him with power. Now he's been in power, and as people say, well, we survived. Well, lots of people did not survive. But those people are not around to vote, and it's incredible actually to think about how COVID and his handling of COVID is not really hurting him as an issue in this campaign. And I think that's a reflection of our desire to just forget the whole thing.
Yeah, and why shouldn't we? I mean, it's not like Biden's got his hands clean, on COVID. I could go on forever. I mean, this is one of those
because then it gets into school closures, and lockdowns, and then people like,
mass vaccine mandates, all this stuff. I mean, we can go through. I think both sides neither handle it well.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
So why should we relitigate all of it, especially if we're going to try and do checks and balances and all of that in the moment? It's very, very difficult. We'd be remiss though if we didn't highlight this. This is probably the single biggest confounding variable. Let's put it up there on the screen. From the risk of losing suburban women on abortion. So what we have here is actually a rating of the most important issue for suburban women in swing states. So that's why this is a good poll. Abortion is 39%. Most important issue. Number 2 is immigration, 16, economy, 7, left-wing ideology, 4, inflation, 4, anti-right-wing ideology, 3. But then if you look here, share of suburban women in swing states saying that the presidential candidacies on abortion are too restrictive. With Trump, it's 57%. Just about right is the 28%, and then not restrictive enough is like negligible. But then check out Joe Biden. They say 17% is too restrictive. 49%, nearly half of the suburban women in these swing districts, say that Biden is just about right. And in general, if what we can see, if abortion is going to be that much of the most important issue, in general, if abortion is your top issue post-Roe, you're voting for a Democrat, Ryan.
Right.
And that is good. That chart right there, if Biden wins, it's going to be because of that.
Right, and that 17% are, they're to the left of Biden.
Yeah,
right. They recognize that Biden is out there, saying things like, I hate abortion.
Yes.
He's doing this very kind of Catholic, 80s, 90s Democrat thing, and so you've got 17% of Democrats who are like, that's not for me. I want more than that, but they're still going to vote for him because he's the one that's on the ballot. I think what's going on here is that it's a fundamental right that affects people's lives, and B, people are seeing policy change as a result of politics. It's very direct change.
Yeah, because of the ballot initiatives.
With everything else, inflation, like wars spiraling out of control, unemployment, people do draw a connection between, this is the party in power, so I either am punishing or crediting the party in power because of how things are going here. But the direct line to how the policies are kind of creating the downstream effect is not that clear. Mm-hmm. It's more based on vibes. When it comes to abortion policy, it's very clear.
Yes.
Like Republicans are writing laws that are banning abortion, banning IVF, going back to the 1864 pedophile author law. And Democrats are writing laws that are expanding abortion rights. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't need economists to come in and explain to you how the ARP is linked up with the Federal Reserve's
it is very
interest rate policies. And so they're like, okay, well, I don't really believe that politics is worth participating in. I'm very cynical and jaded about this. But I do know that if I go out and vote for this particular thing will actually change.
That is a fantastic point. And I've not been on the show since that Arizona thing came down. I still cannot believe that it happened. It is the greatest gift to Democrats that I could have possibly thought. And I think if Arizona goes blue again, we're going to know exactly why, especially in the context of multiple blue representatives being elected. Carrie Lake doing herself no favors, being on camera, straight up supporting the law, and now is like, no, I actually don't support the law. I'm like, yeah, good luck with that, Carrie. Let's see whether that video is blanketed on the entire state of Arizona. I think all of this explains, too, let's put another confounding variable. Biden is shrinking Trump's edge in this latest Times Siena poll. 46 to 45, don't know, is about 8%. Quote, President Biden has nearly erased Trump's early polling advantage. Signs that the Democratic base has begun to coalesce around the president, despite the lingering doubts about the direction of the country, the economy, and his age. So,
and the Times looked at 16 or so polls that were taken, where a poll was taken by the same pollster before and after the State of the Union, and on average, by a little bit more than a point, the public is moving towards Biden, which is not huge, but given that significant of a data set, it does mean something. And a lot of the polls, like the Siena one, you saw more significant swings. One explanation would be he's now definitely the nominee, and so you've got some percentage of Democrats who are like, all right, you're really going to make me vote for Joe Biden, as Bo Burnham says in that song. Like, yeah, all right, you're really going to make me do this? Well,
look,
all right.
I mean, if your abortion is your top issue and that's all that you care about, then yeah, you should vote for Biden. You'd be an idiot not to, right? I mean, one of those where, like, let's be real. Like, when we're talking about that now, I don't vote that way. I don't have, like, a top issue, that vote on. You got to kind of think holistically, but I'm not going to blame people who do. That's fine. You get to, it's your decision. You get to care what you care the most about, and that's why we'll inform your decision.
It's like people who supported Herschel Walker.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Roy Moore or John Fetterman.
Yeah, it's fine. You make your own choice, I guess. It's one of those where, I mean, the Fetterman one is a perfect example because he's just straight up vegetable on the day of the election, can't even speak, and wins the election by 5 points.
Because people I'd rather have him.
Well, would rather have him.
All he's going to do is vote.
All he's got to do is vote blue. That's all it takes.
Turned out to be a
That is a
rabid,
yeah, it's
like
funny.
hawkish, like.
But
okay.
I mean, that is very informative for how people, if an issue is so overwhelming, will look well past candidate flaws and much more to go ahead and to vote for somebody. So just keep that in mind, and we will continue to pay attention, because that I still think is it's covered a lot, but it's such an unknown variable, an unknown unknown, as Donald Rumsfeld used to say. That
known unknown. This would be a known
Actually, I
unknown.
guess this would be a known unknown. Yeah, you're right.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.